There we go. Okay, great stuff. Here we go. So two Michaels on
Yeah.
today. Two Michaels on. I'm not actually Darren, as it says in the corner.
Yeah.
But so if we start by just telling us a little bit about how you got into trading in the first place and your journey along the way.
Yeah, righto. So I actually got into trading when I was 16. My mum actually took me to a course up in Sydney. And pretty much ever since then, I've sort of been through every single side there was of trading. It started off with CFDs and options, and she's actually still an options trader. From
Hmm.
there, it moved to Forex. There was a little bit of binary in there, but that was a whole other thing that went to shit. And then sort of came back into Forex and didn't really take it seriously until probably about the last 3 or 4 years. And
Hmm.
then in about 2021, I think it was during COVID lockdown, is actually when I joined POW. So I'm coming up to 3 years now with POW, actually, just past 3 years.
Oh, wicked! Right at the beginning.
Yeah.
You must have joined at the same time that I joined then. So yeah, you're one of the OGs.
Yeah, it's
So
weird to think that it hasn't actually been that long. It feels like it's been ages, but it's yeah,
yeah, it
it feels
does
like
feel
something
like
just
it's been.
happened.
I think so much has changed, like from. So when you joined, was it Blue FX?
No, so it was just after that.
Okay, just when they
Yeah.
rebranded.
Yeah, so when I
Okay,
first joined, it was literally just a couple of set files, and it was like the settings weren't that much to it. And but yeah, I pretty much watching the evolution of it has been a lot of things.
yep, wicked, wicked, good. So what would you say were three things that you like struggled with before you found PAL? Three challenges or three setbacks that you experienced before you
Yeah,
found PAL.
yeah, righto. So I came from more of a manual price action style of trading. I was actually doing quite well, but I never really took it seriously. And I think a lot of that came from never really having just sort of like one full blown mentor and one person that actually sort of shows up every week.
Yep.
Which is something that came forth with Darren and joining POW. So I think the biggest one would have been not really having any sort of accountability, I guess, where it'd be like I'd be serious about it for a week, and then it'd be a week where I wouldn't do anything and not even look at it, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure,
that
man.
was one of the big things that shifted and changed. The other one was obviously working with time zones, with having full-time job and other business as a builder and all this sort of stuff, is sort of working on times and trying to work out as a manual trader what sessions am I going to trade. And it's like, okay, well, I'm at work all during the Asian session. I'm going to be
Yeah,
asleep during the New York session because I got to sleep my 8 hours before I go back to work.
yeah,
So I've always only sort of had this little window of time to trade. So it's sort of you either got to work out what strategy is going to work in that time period and make that work, or
yeah,
you either got to stay up until the middle of the night and try to do the US thing because someone else is on YouTube and all this sort of stuff. So the second thing was probably being able to diversify that and be able to set something up that's going to run no matter what I'm doing. You still is work to put in, but you do the work up front and you let that do its thing over the time period.
yeah.
But another sort of struggle hasn't really come from that. That would have been more so to do with capital, I guess, which is not really to do with the actual this side of trading of it. That's sort of now come into a whole different perspective with prop firms and everything else that's sort of pushing in to the scene now.
Yeah, they're really good points actually. Yeah, really good in terms of like the accountability as well. Like, yeah, it's a really good point to make because if you're left on your own, you know, if you're seeing success, it's easier to stick to. But if you're struggling and things aren't going so well, it's not so easy to stick to. So just having someone else there or a group such as ours, which can
Yeah.
support you way, I think that's really important. So yeah, really, really, really good points, mate. So what sort of since you've like joined PAL, in fact, before that, how would you say that those things kind of affected you personally? Like not just in trading, like did it affect you in any other way? Did it make you want to quit at
Um,
any point?
it,
Or
it did and
did
it
that?
didn't because, like, for instance, with like the emotional side of it, a lot of that, it would honestly alter your day. Like, especially when I started seeing a bit of success with my manual trading, there were times that we were actually doing quite well. And then there would be times that you get into the drawdown and you sort of take that with you. And I'd take it to my day job and I would take it with me, I'd have a negative sort of connotation about the whole day. Nothing actually bad has ever happened or anything like that.
Yeah,
It's literally just how you've perceived it, and you'd sort of take
yeah,
it with you, I guess.
yeah, yeah, 100%. I can definitely relate to that, especially if you take, like, when you take that first loss.
Yeah,
And you're just sort of thinking, like, is this really for me? Like,
yeah,
what
yeah.
is wrong?
You'll have this great week where you're building up everything, and then it'll just be a loss and it'll all be gone, and you just kind of like, well, what was the point of that? I could have just been at work, and I've just sort of wasted this X, Y, Z, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You blame yourself as well. It's like it's all my fault, you know.
yeah,
Everyone else is winning, and I'm the loser.
yeah, definitely.
So since you joined PAL, would you say that you focused on banker only, or have you focused on edge? Did you focus on red alert, or is it just been banker?
For me, it's only been banker. I have looked a
Mhm.
little bit into the other ones, but I've predominantly focused on banker and focus. And the other thing is, it's the way that it's evolved, and it evolves quite at a rapid rate, really, lately. Um, is that I haven't felt like I've needed to diversify anymore. Because part of the reason I did decide to move into EA trading, then obviously pick POW to go with, was that I wanted to more diverse style of trading, right? So if I
Mhm.
had, now that I've got, a couple $100,000 in funding and different accounts with different prop firms, I'm not sort of just taking one manual trade and that goes on all accounts being copied over. Instead, I've now got, one bot that's trading only US pairs, one bot that's doing only certain time periods for the Asian session, one bot. There's all
Yeah.
these things that no matter what, if that account's in drawdown, this account's actually making a bit of profit, and this account's doing that, and that one's break even. So it sort of takes away everything from it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. That's really good, actually. Really good for members that might be watching this as well. Because I think a lot of people, maybe not so much anymore, but definitely like 6 months ago, maybe when before like Portfolio Finder come around, you'd find some good settings and you just run it on every
And
account
you
you've
just,
got.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
you keep it all going on one.
you hit an EP or you take a loss and like everything gets fucked, basically.
Yeah.
So I think the ability now to be able to create portfolios in a matter of minutes is we're now able to diversify and run many different approaches at once. So in terms of like success and funding or withdrawals, where are you at right now?
So actually, I just had another withdrawal today. So I just pulled out another one. I posted it in the Discord. It was only a small one, for another $450 with
Great.
my funded FX. But essentially now in prop funding, I've got 500,000, so 500,000, and then I've got another 200,000 that's almost passed with smart prop trading, which I've actually done, which is not the HFT one. It's purely actually just running set files and getting them going. And it has taken, I'm up to 3 months now, but I'm about 4K off passing a $200,000 challenge on phase 2.
Nice,
Then
nice.
I've got another 200,000 with my funded FX, and with the profits that I've just withdrawn this week, because I've also got another funded account with fast Forex funding, which was
Nice.
a HFT passing one that I did. And I had my first withdrawal last week on those guys. So with that money, I'm actually going to now be purchasing an only funds to go with the
Yeah,
POW's prop trading one.
brilliant.
So I'll be doing another 200K with them. So pretty much my main goal is to sort of get to a minimum of $1 million by the end of this year. And pretty much at this point, that should be by the end of Q1.
I was
And
gonna
then,
say, smash
yeah,
that.
it'll be pretty quick. And then,
Yeah, 5 mil.
yeah, so then over 3 years, I want to have 5 million
Yeah,
in funding
nice.
and diversified a bunch of different prop firms, because things nowadays with how fast they're popping up, they're also disappearing as quick as they are coming. So the more I can spread it out, the better I feel. But as far as withdrawals goes, it's been pretty much consistent withdrawals monthly for a good 10 to 12 months now.
Yeah, nice.
And like my biggest months I've actually had have been actually the least amount that I've ever done. Like I was on a holidays in Mexico in the middle of August with my partner, and we were sitting on the beach, and I was showing on my phone. I was like, oh, I got 2 payouts this week out of this coming through, and we also had a house on Airbnb, and a bunch of stuff, and I had about $7,000 in payouts in the 1 week come through.
Oof.
And then looked on the Airbnb, and that was paying us like $3,000 for the week, and we're sitting on the beach in Mexico, hadn't had to lift a hammer or move a finger, and I was like, I've made 10 grand in the last month, in the last week.
Yeah.
I was like, why don't we just stay here? I was like, what's the point of going home? We don't.
Yeah. Mate, that is the best thing, mate. I love that. I love it. Visualize myself doing it. That's why I'm smiling so much, because I know how I would feel at that time. Like, you just think that you've. So I think the problem is, like, when you hit them withdrawals, yeah, it's like, let's say you get paid 7 or 10K a week. You're like, this is easy, you know. if I do this every week, like,
yeah,
it's
never set.
You kind of get carried away with yourself, but that's unbelievable that you've managed to do that consistently. Did you say 10 months, 12 months?
Yeah. So we did have, actually, it was right after that period, I actually went into a drawdown for, what was it, about 3 months it took me to get out of. And it wasn't even a big drawdown, but the biggest thing was the fact of, I wasn't looking at the percentage of the drawdown, but I was now looking at dollar figures, because the figures start becoming so much bigger. Instead of being, oh, you know, I'm 3.5% down, which you're like, okay, that's not a lot. But when it's $500,000, you know, it's over $15,000 in cash. So then you're trying to remove that from your headspace of being like, okay, it's only 3%, but now when I look at the account, it's 15 grand. Like, it's not just a small amount of money anymore. So that's been sort of a big thing to try to get past. And it was the same thing. I got off the path that I was on that got me to getting those withdrawals, and I went and did other things and changed it and hit a couple of EPs, and gold went on a terrible run, and I was on the wrong side of the run no matter what I seemed to do at that point in time. And I had to sort of step back and refresh and go, all right, how did I get here? What got me to those points? And then it took the time to get back up and build those accounts back up. And then when I finally got the withdrawals again, I was like, okay, you can do this. I said, if you hadn't stuffed up, that would have been an extra 15 grand in your pocket, not something that you just had to recover.
Yeah. I love it though, because like you clearly, you're learning from your mistakes, which is the main thing. And it sounds like you're able to analyze what's going wrong and take it from there and improve and stay on the right path. Whereas a lot of people get knocked off, and, you know, before you know it, you're back to square one. So yeah, it sounds like you're doing great, mate. There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was looking at my laptop percentage, and it was like, got to like 9, and I was like, okay, try not to say too much. And then it got to 5. Oh fuck.
Yeah, it seems to be that last like 12-15% just goes.
It went so quick. Like, when I started the interview, it was on like 20, and I was like, should be all right. And then I'm sweating. I'm actually sweating. Yeah. I'll let it all out anyway. So let's get back to where we was. We'll carry on as if that didn't even happen. Yeah. So as I was saying, it sounds like you're able to analyze where you was going wrong, or where you might have gone wrong effectively, and then stay on the right path, which is great. And it also sounds like you've got your goals mapped out, like, not sort of like mapped out, but you're on the right path to hitting your goals. I know you said you want to hit 5 million over the next couple of years, right?
Yeah.
I think because you've got that number in your mind, and you're on the right path, like, because you're part of POW and you're seeing success, surely that gives you more confidence that you're actually going to hit that number. Yeah.
Well, that's it. Like, I set that goal for a 3-year time period, but in the reality is, especially with HFT passing and stuff now, is that I could actually do that by the end of the week if I wanted to. But the real thing would be, would I be ready for that? And so the honest answer would be absolutely no. Like, the reality is, if I had the 5 million, it would be what? So if I had 1% down for the week, it'd be $50,000. And would I be feeling comfortable with that? No, I'm not ready for those numbers yet. I know that. So I know I've got to work up those incremental steps, which is why I've sort of set it for this time of year period to be later on down the track, because I go, okay, by then I'll be ready. And it's every time I take on a new thing of fun. Sorry, am I still there?
Yeah, still here.
Yeah, every time I take on a new thing of funding, it's sort of a new level to sort of get used to and get comfortable with first, and getting used to seeing the numbers, because it's great every time you see the numbers positive, but you will see the numbers negative. It's going to happen at some point in time, whether you want it to or not. So it's sort of
Yeah.
getting yourself ready for each time, and then you get comfortable with it, and you can move up, and then you can move up. So yeah, I sort of set those down. I think I'll still probably beat it. I think I'll still smash it in under the 3 years that I've got set.
Yeah.
But it won't be just diving straight in and be like, yeah, no, I'm there now. I'm at, $5 million, yada yada.
That's really smart, because yeah, like obviously when you're seeing the withdrawals and it's so easy to get funding, like you can get overconfident and get carried away. And I know that, like from my own experience, I remember it might have been like a year ago or so, but I must have passed the challenge, and both phases. This was when HFT wasn't around. Got my first withdrawal, and I was like, right, gonna buy 5 challenges, all 200k challenges. I'm gonna spend it all, and like then I'm gonna have 1 million, and it's gonna be easy from then on. And I remember my missus saying to me, like, that would be the worst thing you could do. You're not ready for it.
Yeah.
And how are you gonna feel when, like right now, when you see 4k on the screen, it's not too bad, but when you've got 40k like in drawdown, how are you going to feel then? Like, how is that going to affect you? You're going to run your accounts differently to what you're running right now. And that kind of really stopped me in my tracks. So yeah, I think it's an important some important advice there is to take things incrementally, and just take things a little bit slower than wanting to go from A to Z overnight, because with HFT you can, but it's not necessarily the right thing to do. So with that being said, if you was to give new members or people that might be sitting on the fence waiting to join POW, if you could give them 3 pieces of advice, what would they be?
Yeah, easy. So one thing, I think it's my old man said it to me a long time ago that I've still remembered, is that you can't learn everything from someone, but you can learn something from everyone. So in saying that, it's, if you get involved in POW, or you get involved in any sort of trading thing or whatever it might be, whether it's property, whether it's something else, is that you shouldn't expect that you'll get the results that you see. Well, you shouldn't expect that if you see everything that, say, Darren does, that you'll be the same and be able to what he does. Take a bit from him, take a bit from you, take a bit from everyone else that's in there, and find out sort of what things work for you. You can't just be an answer of just one all will fit, because it just never will. And then you have to sort of find your own style that'll fit into that, really. Secondly, it's also just, have a crack, work out what's the worst case. You go, okay, if I say I join POW, and you spend the £900 or whatever it is to get entitled. So what's my worst case scenario? Okay, my worst case is I've spent £900 and I'll lose a couple of hours or a couple of days of my time. I might learn something. I might not like it. I might not realize that it's for me. Sweet, okay, move on. If not, you say, what's the upside? And goes, well, realistically, it's endless. Like now we're talking, like 5 years ago when I was manually trading in things, there's no way I would have even thought of, I'd had 5 million in funding in this X amount of time, or even $500,000 that I'm on now. Because back then it was going to be your own money, so things are constantly changing. And sort of losing track of where I was going with that one. I always go tangent.
No. It's a good thing to say though. Like, you're spot on. You're spot on there.
Yeah, so pretty much basically have a crack, see where it goes, see what happens, and in the worst case, if it costs you £900, then it costs you £900, and you move on. At some point, you're probably going to spend it on something else anyway. So why not try something that's an endless possibility, realistically, with what trading is?
I always think, like, with the whole investment thing, if you're not used to investing in yourself, then at first it can seem like quite expensive. It's like, £900, like, I better see returns off it. But what you don't take into consideration sometimes is the knowledge that you're going to learn. You're going to have it forever. Yeah. So like the things that you learn inside POW are like, I would never learn this anywhere else. I don't know anywhere where I could learn what I learned from Darren, or even from the live Q&As, from the members in the group. So like the knowledge that you're going to learn and the investment that you're going to make, that's where you're going to kind of reap the rewards. Is like the knowledge side of things. It's not always you know, the funding and the withdrawals that you're going to get from
Yeah.
prop firms and blah blah. It's what you're going to learn along the way. So I think that's really important to take into consideration. Quick question.
Yeah.
Has your mum, so your mum being a trader, has that really, I guess what I'm trying to say is that like really helped your progression? Because you sound really smart and like switched on in terms of, well, in terms of trading.
I think it definitely has. I come from a family that's very business orientated. Pretty much everyone in my family has or runs a business. So it's sort of ingrained in the way that I think and the way that I'll move about anything. It doesn't matter whether it's trading, whether it's investing in property, whether it's going to work, the building and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's, as a whole, coming from the upbringing I've had a business mentality and business mind from everything I've been exposed to growing up in my life, you know. So I think that obviously has quite a large impact on the way I think and the way I make decisions and the way I make investments or moving money or, you know, doing my trading or dedicating to trading and realizing that, you know, it's not going to pay me at this point, but if I continue doing it for this long, it'll pay me now, not like a job where I'm guaranteed getting those paychecks along the way. So I think that's sort of more so, but also, seeing my mum, you know, I'd be going to bed at 9:30 and she'd be getting ready to put up options for the US market opening. So she'd be setting everything up and then I'd hear her being up at 1 a.m. doing that sort of stuff. And also part of that made me realize like, okay, I've got to find out that doesn't suit my schedule. You know, she has a bit more flexibility than I have because I'm going out of tools and being up at 5 a.m. So I don't want to be up at 1 a.m. So I got to work out what's going to work my schedule and my lifestyle to fit what I want to do and what I want to achieve.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I can definitely tell. I can tell, like, I can just tell. I can tell that you just tell the things that you're saying are really, they're smart. Yeah. You can tell that you're switched on and you're doing things in the right way, like taking things slow and like we said before, like incrementally. And I think unless you're around people that are, you know, doing that and kind of teaching you that, it's kind of very hard. So you can definitely tell that you're on the right path, man.
No, but very fortunate with my upbringing, which very glad for that.
No, it's like with Darren as well. Like, you know, I always like, I'm very grateful to be around Darren all the time, right? And it's like to be learning from him and, you know, all the other people in the group. I'm always grateful to be around them people because, you know, like I said before, like unless I was in POW, I probably wouldn't be around any of these people. I don't know any other traders. I don't know. I've never been in the industry before POW, and it's kind of lucky to be in part of a community that kind of pushes you forward and you learn so much from. So yeah, great stuff. I'm not going to take up too much of your time, so I'm gonna click stop. You're still going to be on video. I'm just going to click to stop record. Do that.